Is that how you test your microphone whilst you're recording other things in your studio? The non-deranged cat studio?
No.
No, you just rub your beard along the...
The terrible plastic doesn't do a whole lot pop filter.
That's a special pop filter, it is. What's that doing up so high? I don't know. It'll do.
Get it down from there!
Get down, Bumpy! Alright.
Drinking plenty of water.
Skål.
Yeah, enjoying that, are you?
Yeah, that was really... that went through one ear and out the other.
Uh-huh.
Now I've got a wet shoulder.
Colin had a problem and a microphone to spare. Thomas took it up and so the podcast went to air. For weeks and months they trolled through every single DVD. They've unwrapped all the ones they can and now they're cellulose free. Now they're cellulose free.
Hello, dear listener, and welcome to Cellulose Free. My name is Colin, and with me as always is my fellow film watcher, compadre and son, Thomas.
Hi, hello.
What have you been up to?
Well, the first week was pretty good. The MIT Mystery Hunt ran over the Martin Luther King Jr. Day weekend, as it usually does.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I wasn't in Boston.
Oh, well.
Or in Cambridge, but other people were, and those that did had a good time with the parts that required an in-person presence, which, you know, they've been slowly ramping back up on in the years since 2020, to varying amounts of happiness on everyone's parts.
Okay.
We completed the first round, which entitled us to the quote-unquote mid-event runaround. I put heavy air quotes around mid-event because the first round represented about a sixth of the total puzzles.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you're saying we, I'm assuming that each group has a team of on-campus and off-campus people? Are you phone a friend?
I was one of the phoner friends, yes.
Okay.
You don't necessarily have to have either an on-campus or an off-campus presence.
Right.
Having an on-campus presence is helpful because some of the puzzles are physical.
Yep.
And again, increasingly more so as things ramp back up. And having remote is helpful just to have someone available around the clock.
Okay.
So yeah, we got through the first round, and then a little bit of some of the other rounds, and we were happy with that, to be honest. We're not a particularly large team, even taking into account our remote participants, and it is for the best that we are not able to win the event, because the prize for winning is that you organise the next year's one. And that also requires you to have some MIT students, which we don't.
Right. But you did have an on-campus presence?
We did have some people on campus,
right.
Yes.
But not MIT?
No.
Right.
They came in specially. They're all in
Sorry,
the...
I had visions of midnight and a special ops low-flying helicopter flew over and dropped your team members in full blackout camo with night vision goggles.
And then half of them got sick, so...
Oh.
So our in-person presence was somewhat reduced towards the end, but we did get there, so...
Does that strengthen the argument from the let's no longer have a physical presence?
Well, it's the
happening?
MIT mystery hunt, so
yeah.
It's sort of inextricably linked to the campus.
Someone would argue that you actually brought the disease in through that stunt of flying halo. Oh, actually, it was a Lolo, wasn't it?
And then the day after that wrapped, it was Tuesday. And late on Tuesday, I got a migraine.
You did?
I did. And it was pretty bad. Not totally up there as far as migraines go, but pretty bad, and that ruled out recording on Wednesday, and don't really want to record on a Thursday, and it's all a mess. And then I got a headache on Friday, which I assume was related to the migraine on Tuesday. And then I got another migraine late on Sunday, which was really quite bad.
Yeah.
Took out both sides of my body for however long it lasted. I was not particularly lucid at the time.
No.
I can recall trying to run my brain through the alphabet and stumbling, which is not a place one wants to be.
No.
Fortunately, it did stop after, I want to say, less than half an hour. But after that, you are left feeling blah. And I am still feeling a little blah.
Yeah.
And I have been drinking a lot of water.
And making sloshing noises.
Yeah, and my vision is still spotty in parts, so...
So we'll see how we go today. Yes.
It was particularly inconvenient, the one late on Sunday, because the day after that was a hot day.
It was quite unpleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, the Hobart Hurricanes won the Big Bash League.
Good on us.
So that was good.
The Hobart Hurricanes with how many actual Tasmanian members?
Dunno. It's franchise cricket, in it?
It is franchise cricket, yes. Yay, we're barracking for insert name here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were my 2 weeks. I wanted to get out at some point over those weeks, and I did not.
Oh, well.
Because I do not feel like it would be physically advisable for me to do so until I am feeling a little less like I am right now.
Right. Okay. So we've got to this point. Do you wish to continue?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Dear listener.
I'm taking it easy.
You are privileged to be able to hear Thomas's words whilst he makes this ultimate sacrifice.
What about you?
No, I'm not saying anything. I don't want to spoil your aura right now. That and not a lot has happened in the last 2 weeks, and I knew even as I was asking you, what have I done? And other than the usual blood donation, go see my therapist and get all angsty and anxious. Not much else. I got nothing for you.
Head back to camp.
Does that mean I'm off the island?
No.
Oh.
No. Oh. No, maybe later.
Hey, speaking of low-flying aircraft and getting off the island, we have a film to watch.
Which I have just remembered what it is.
We are watching this week Sully.
Yep.
Starring Tom Hanks, as Thomas desperately scrambles to find a plot synopsis. I shall make up stuff as... Oh, I did forget that I did go for a brief trip to Patagonia in the last 2 weeks. Yeah, forgot about that. That was really good.
Uh-huh.
And the Galapagos, the islands, to see the turtles. Or the tortoises. The turtles. Have you got... Come on, Thomas. Have you found one?
I have found something.
Oh, good. Can you read it?
A 2016 film based on a true story, that of US Airways Flight 1549, and the emergency that occurred upon takeoff from New York City's LaGuardia Airport on January 15, 2009, wherein they lost all engine power after hitting a flock of geese and had to make an emergency water landing in the Hudson River. Tom Hanks plays Captain Chesley Sullenberger, aka Sully, and Aaron Eckhart plays his co-pilot Jeffrey Skiles. It is directed by Clint Eastwood.
Forgotten about that bit. When I did say, can you read it, that probably sounded a bit skewed. I was actually asking, are you physically able to read it, rather than can you go ahead and read it? But now that you've done so...
My vision is spotty, but not...
we've killed multiple geese with one aeroplane. So we're going to be streaming it on... What did I decide? I can't remember. I think it was Stan, was it?
Or Netflix.
Stan or Netflix?
Take your pick.
So we're going to crank up the television, wind up the rubber band, watch that, come back and talk about it if we have survived the experience. So until then, we'll catch it. No.
Flip side.
Yes. So we shall. That's the bit that I was missing. So we shall catch you on the flip side.
Turn to side B. And hopefully right back onto side A again.
I was going to say, does that make you inverted?
Not a good landing.
Tom Cruise might have something to say about that. You mongrel. So what did you think?
I mean, it's certainly an inspiring story, but not one that I found interesting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And turns out that even at a slim 90 or so minutes, I found the film too long. It just...
Okay.
I don't think there was 90 minutes of material in it. And
Yeah, it only took them 23 minutes after the plane hit the water for everyone to be off the plane. Right.
like, the investigation was dramatized.
Somewhat, yes.
Um,
That was possibly the place where it felt very, very compressed time-wise. Maybe for the best, but yes, it felt very, very dramatised.
Oh, it surely took longer than that. But I would have liked to have seen it take less time.
Wow. I hope you're taking notes, Clint.
It's a 90-minute film, and it spends almost 7 minutes covering the same 3.5 minutes twice.
I was okay with that. What I found interesting was that I do have a strong recollection of this all happening and knew the outcome, the fact that everyone survived and hooray. I don't recall a lot of, I guess what this film was mainly covering was the question marks afterwards. But knowing all of that, I was impressed, and it may well be where my headspace is at the moment that it was taking advantage of, but I was extremely anxious, even though I knew everyone survived. And I was extremely anxious both times, the 3.5 minutes from different angles type of thing. I was anxious then, still knowing full well at that stage that the result of all that was no lives lost. A bit of hypothermia and scratches and bruises and what have you, but I'm making this sound very, very small, but I was extremely anxious throughout the film, even though I knew that everything would be okay. And that anxiety wasn't really towards the result of the hearings, which I think is what they were really trying to get across. So, yeah, it was weird in that respect.
I just feel like this film could have been a Wikipedia article, and it is. I can go and read that Wikipedia article, and I did.
I was going to say, in less time.
It's a lot shorter.
It's good to hear that my monthly Wikipedia contribution is going to good use. This podcast not sponsored by Wikipedia. In fact, I sponsor Wikipedia. So
it's very harsh of me to say it, but it's very rare, even watching a bad film, that I feel like my time has been wasted.
Okay.
And I feel like I have wasted my time in watching this film.
Wow. I was certainly, I guess, somewhat disappointed in it. It felt quite weak in places, but pacing-wise and storytelling-wise, I thought it was okay.
That's the problem. It's just okay.
I did like how it started, and I'm not going to spoil how it started, but It was quite a clever first couple of scenes prior to the title of the film coming up. Thomas is trying to remember how it started, or can you?
No, I remember
Okay,
how it started.
good.
It's just it does that a few times throughout the film.
Okay.
The film loves to repeat itself.
You obviously haven't experienced flashbacks much in your life.
Sure. Just not within the span of 90 minutes.
There was one thing that really took me out of the scene, and it could be me imagining it. It could well have been real, but to me, a lot of the breathing, like the foggy breath, suggesting that it's really, really cold, looked terribly artificial, in that it was possibly, I'm not saying necessarily CGI'd, but a composite. I did do a bit of a search whilst watching and couldn't find any conclusive evidence of that, but I've certainly seen it done really, really badly, and I think this, if it was done okay, but still had me questioning it. It didn't look entirely convincing, so you don't have to look it up, Thomas, you really don't.
It's filmed sometime between September and November.
Yeah.
So, not the peak of winter.
No.
But,
Yeah. Okay, well, it seems that I possibly got more out of it than you did. Whether that is because I've got a soft spot for aircraft films and aircraft things and playing flight simulators.
I am quite sure that you got more out of it than I did. I lost 90 minutes.
You really are harsh on this. Wow. Okay.
I don't hate the film. That's the problem.
Look, dear listener, if you have seen Sully, and it seems that there are opportunities for you to watch it, I would love to hear people's opinion as to where you fall on the Sully good, Sully bad, Sully average, Sully I'm bored out of my brain, that was a waste of 90 minutes of my life. Where do you fall? Actually, that's probably poor choice of words when you're talking about aircraft and forced landings, but yeah. Do you have anything else to say about Sully?
No.
Tom Hanks was Tom Hanks. Yeah. Okay. Next week we'll be watching Captain Phillips. No, you get to choose what we're watching next week.
Yeah, I do.
So let's start heading towards that teaser there as to what we're watching next week by moving on.
The following segment has no title. Thank you.
In all the excitement of me getting multiple migraines,
Excitement.
we've neglected that this is our 150th episode of Cellulose Free.
Oh my goodness, it is
Yeah.
too. I'll insert hurrah noises here.
All right, and action! Woohoo! Yeah! Woohoo! Yay! Woohoo! All right, yeah! Woohoo! Yay! Yahoo! Woohoo! Good, go! Yeah! Woo! Woohoo! Yeah! Ow, ow, ow! Woo! Woo! Woohoo!
All right, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Whoa! All right, yeah, come on. Whoa, I mean, not come on, but yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, that's enough of that.
Yeah.
Don't want to set me off again.
No, that's the after show party with all the flashing lights.
Yeah.
That'll happen, yeah.
Hopefully next time there's a milestone, I won't be quite so poorly off.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have comments,
We do.
and we will start and finish over on Facebook.
Okay.
Starting with Nathan,
Hi, Nathan.
who may not be a listener to the show.
No, I don't think Nathan is, but that's fine.
Yeah. Who says that it's one of his all-time favourites.
We are talking about last week's movie, What's
Yes,
Up, Doc? Sorry,
What's Up, Doc,
Last
yes.
week's movie 2 weeks ago. Or if you're listening to this in many years to come, It was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, says it's one of his all-time favourites and is glad it's his legacy to me.
Yeah. You did indeed watch this the first time with said Nathan. So thanks for your contribution, Nathan.
Still on Facebook, 2 episodes ago on Local Hero, Helen.
Hi, Helen.
Says, I should note that Cellulose Free is not sponsored by Franco Cozzo Footers Grey Furniture. Although this may be because Franco is sadly no longer with us. Unfortunately, some of his furniture may be.
It's a Franco Cozzo Footers Grey Furniture. Did you watch any of it on YouTube?
No, I sort of got the gist already.
What's really disturbing is I knew exactly what Helen was talking about, and I have not lived in Melbourne. That's how much of an institution Franco Cozzo was. He is sadly no longer with us. But when I was 14, I went with a friend as unaccompanied minors to Melbourne. We were picked up at the airport by his grandfather. Anyway, so got to watch some television in Melbourne. And this was a big thing because coming from a little state that only had 2 television stations and suddenly having lots of television stations, it was pretty wild. But I vividly remember Franco Cozzo, Footscray and Brunswick. What's really disturbing is I did go looking on YouTube, and he does certainly appear, and I'll put a link in the show notes. I'm quite certain that back in 1980X, he also said a North of Melbourne and a Footscray, but I could be making that up. I was only 14 at the time.
Apparently a pioneer in pre-SBS multicultural television.
He really was a character. And if you're not going to look at the link in the show notes, self-advertising.
Yes.
He was the face of his own company on the television advertising, and very much aimed at the very large Greek community in Melbourne.
Helen continues on Local Hero that Local Hero is a favourite movie of mine, and the soundtrack is a favourite too. I want Going Home played at my wake very loud.
Fair enough.
You probably know this now, since I am over a week behind, but it's Kaylee. Yes, we did cover that.
Yes, and it's still spelt Ceilidh.
And this is just for my own satisfaction, since I am over a week behind. I'll guess Local Hero. That's with the E taken out.
Yeah,
which
an interesting move.
Which turned out to be incorrect.
It did. So, sorry, I have not seen this comment, so
yes.
I'm
on the most recent episode, Helen.
Hi, Helen.
So, my Local Hero guess for last episode was wrong, whereas it was apparently obvious to at least 3 other people.
Yes.
As the only person to present a guess this week, I will continue on here.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with What's Up Doc. That's WTSUPDOC for this episode. On the strength of the recommendation, I'm racing off to watch it tonight. That's tonight as we are recording it.
Right.
But whether or not I can do so in time to add a comment to this before you record the next episode is another question entirely. No. No, you haven't.
No.
You haven't, but...
However...
if it's any consolation, you have earned yourself an arbitrary point.
Well done, Helen. It was indeed WTSUPDOC, Woodsupdoc. This week's episode was Sully. Now, for those of you listening or still awake, you have an opportunity to write in your guess as to what 8 alphanumeric... what am I trying to say, Thomas?
Just put 8 characters in a box, or less.
8 characters or less into a box.
I'd suggest probably less this week.
That I have used as the file name for this recording for the episode Sully.
Yeah, I didn't even need you to show me it.
Oh, I thought I'd better.
No.
Splush Ploon. Good.
It's 3 points. You can get 3 points. Just put the word in. You don't even need to be making a guess. Just name the film. Name the film in your comment.
Or it could be Splush Plane.
Come and get your points, and also make any other sort of commentary or movie suggestions or
what your favourite airline is.
Or ways to avoid having a yet third migraine.
Your worst flight experience. There we go. Mine was coming back from Sydney during the 1989 airline strike in Australia. Basically, every airline in Australia, pilots were on strike, and so nothing was flying, and the government stepped in and basically were using Air Force troop carriers. They got a whole heap of aircraft in from the US, including their pilots, just to get people moving in Australia. And so I was in an America West aircraft coming in from Sydney and coming in to land. And I'd experienced that landing a number of times, landing in Hobart, but it felt like he hadn't. And it felt like he was used to landing in Hong Kong airport, where you basically maintain a height and then just drop onto the tarmac.
Uh-huh.
And you end up with whatever you ate in the last half hour up in your throat because you've just suddenly dropped onto the tarmac. That was pretty freaky. And the whole flight, there was a great deal of turbulence and the plane was twisting, and it was a scary flight. I didn't think I was going to make it home on that flight. Anyway, I digress.
I haven't really had any bad plane experiences.
Good.
Yeah.
That's how it's supposed to be.
I've been on enough buses that I've had a couple of bad bus experiences.
Yeah. They can do it to you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there we go. There are your options. Please do write in and tell us your stories. Tell us your guesses. And we shall move on.
Pick a film for next week so we can go to bed.
And it's your turn.
Yep. And it's sitting across from us.
Is it?
Yeah, it's still sitting there on the TV cabinet.
Really?
Yeah.
We're going to watch Babs again, are we?
Yeah, we're going to watch some more Babs.
Ah.
You said you hadn't seen the other half of that box set, so we're going to see the other side of that box set.
Which is?
The main event.
It will be the main event next week, yes. So what are we watching?
It's called The Main Event.
Oh, okay, with Barbara Streisand and the male co-star, who happens to be...
No, give me descriptions. I want descriptions. Who happens to be... Ryan O'Neill.
Ah, good. Please, if you've got a plot description, would you chuck it at us, please? Thank you. You're welcome.
Can a penniless perfume magnate find happiness managing the career of a has-been prizefighter? This screwball comedy answers that question. Pow! Right to the kisser.
Aren't you glad that you had an opportunity to read that?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And aren't we glad that we'll have an opportunity to watch that? I don't know whether it's streaming anywhere for anyone who wants to do their homework.
I suspect not.
It is quite famous.
Specifically, The Main Event from 1979. There's been a few films called The Main Event.
There have.
I get to do disambiguation. Hooray! No, not 2020.
Whereas if he'd looked at IMDb, he'd have the answer immediately.
No, I don't want either of those,
Oh
actually.
no, you don't want
Just
IMDb
Watch.
either. You're wanting
Give me
Just Watch.
Dear listeners, my brain is addled.
So's mine.
Rent or buy.
It is available to rent or buy on numerous places.
Where that number is 2.
2 in Australia. Yeah. And we can't necessarily recommend that you do that because we haven't seen it yet.
No.
Ah, well. Next week, we're watching The Main Event on The Main Event. We hope that you can join us, but until then, we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
You have been listening to Cellulose Free, Your hosts were Colin, who produces and edits the show, and Thomas, who makes the artwork and music. Cellulose Free is recorded in the Deranged Cat Studios in scenic Tasmania, Australia. We keep track of our extensive physical media collection through My Movies, which we highly recommend. You can find links to that, as well as other places you can find us, in the show notes. Cellulose Free is a Hi Hello production.
It's only 8:30.
No. Good. And it's only 36 minutes of recording.
Yeah.
I can chop that down to 15, I reckon.